Growing up on a farm, I saw many things that questioned my sanity. However, the worst one of them all was the thing that my dad tried to cover up. It happened when I slept in the barn with the horses as they were throwing a fuss, and were only quiet while I was present. It wasn't terrible, as I found a soft spot in the hay to relax and give my eyes a rest. I covered myself up with an old ragged blanket we had. It wasn't luxurious, but it was warm. That's when I saw it, standing at the window on the barn door staring in. At first, I thought it was one of my brothers. "Hey Will, is that you?" I asked. There was no response, along with no movement from the thing watching from the window. Confused on who was out there, I flashed my light to see myself. Confused at first, I thought maybe I mistook a window for a mirror. So I stood up and walked to get a better view. That's when my reflection, or at least what I thought was my reflection, walked away. Standing to my feet, I ran, opening the barn door to see what it was. I saw nothing in the darkness. The crickets, who were once silent, erupted in their chirping as if all was normal again. "What was that?" I whispered to myself, as I shut the barn door and went back to rest on the hay. The next day, I did my normal routine with milking the cows and preparing the food for the pigs. That's when I saw myself again, watching from the tree line. My blood ran cold. Not knowing how to process this or wondering if someone was playing a prank on me, I ran at myself. As I ran, I could see the figure turn and walk into the tree line. It's as if it wanted me to chase after it. Stopping in my tracks, I felt I shouldn't go over there. No good would come from it, and now I was already behind on my daily chores. Nothing happened until the following night in my family's house, when I heard my dad calling my name, and while running to go see what he wanted, I saw myself come from the opposite room. I jumped back, out of fright, but peeked from out of the corner to see what my dad would do. "Hey, have you seen Will? He was supposed to be back from work 2 hours ago and isn't responding to any of my phone calls," my dad asked. Wondering if Will would finally give up the bit and stop pretending to be me, now that my dad was looking for him. I was surprised when I then heard my voice say, "Will told me earlier today he would be working late. I have no idea when he's supposed to be back, though." "Huh, that's the first time he's worked this late. I wonder what could be keeping him," Dad replied. "Who knows?" I replied with a shrug. "Well, tell him to call me once he gets back, no matter how late it is." "Will do," myself said before walking out of the room. I stood where I was in shock, wondering if I should tell my dad that wasn't me or what. Would he even believe me, as he didn't even bat an eye? And I couldn't pick up on any sign of it being anyone else. They genuinely looked and sounded exactly like me. I passed it off as some weird hallucinations I was having, as I was experimenting with some different types of drugs during this time. However, it had been a few days since my last hit. However, that night would be when it happened. I fell asleep in my normal bed, and I heard screaming coming from the front door area. Jumping out of bed, the screaming pierced my soul. Running into the hallway, I bolted to where it was coming from and saw both of my parents kneeling on the floor. In their hands was the body of my brother Will, who was bleeding profusely from his wounds. I watched the last few moments of his life leave his body. My parents saw me and jumped back in fear. My dad then said angrily and choking on his tears, You did this." Filled with emotions, I replied, What happened? What do you mean I did this?" "Don't play dumb with me, boy," he said. "I saw it with my own 2 eyes. You stay right there as we call the cops. You may be my son, but you will suffer for this. How could you? You guys loved each other." "It wasn't me, Dad. There's been someone dressing like me. I've seen them too." Confused, he stood to his feet. "Wait, you've seen yourself? When did this start?" "About a few days ago," I replied. No. They promised me it was gone. That it would never. Son, why did you wait to tell me?" "What is it?" How could I know to tell you? I thought it was Will pretending to be me for a bit. Lock all the doors now, then head to the basement. We don't have much time. Without questioning, I did as he told me. Running from each window and door, I shut them tight. Second to last, I could see myself staring through it. Without hesitation, I attempted to slam it shut, but it grabbed me. Digging its nails into my arm, blood dripped from the wounds. It screamed at the top of its lungs while trying to grab my throat, breaking free from its grip. I grabbed hold of the window and successfully slammed it shut, locking it to keep that thing out there. It really did feel like some kind of acid trip, though, fighting myself. Afterwards, I met my parents in the basement where they sheltered. My dad was still hesitant being around me even after I proved I was the real one. "What is that thing, Dad?" I asked. "I haven't been completely truthful with all of you guys. I'm not a third-generation farmer who was born and raised on this very land, like I've told you. I used to work for the government, exploring highly classified things." He paused as we heard a slam on the front door above our heads. He continued talking while typing on his computer. "We found a hole in time. To save you the details, we found another dimension like our own. We were able to open small tears into it. However, when we came into contact with the other one, they weren't like us. They sounded the same and even matched our appearances, but they aren't human. They started killing on sight. Every single person we sent across the tear. The ones who lived longer were the sly ones, blending in and waiting for the opportune moment to kill. We tried everything to get them to be peaceful, but there was nothing we could do." The door upstairs continued to rattle at the constant banging on it. Shivers of fear trembled up my spine and rested in the back of my neck. My dad then took in a big gulp of air while saying, "The entire government agency I was in was shut down. Everyone was checked to see if they were replaced by the other side, and those who passed were relocated for their own safety, just in case one of the things survived and desired revenge for us killing the ones they came with across the tear. I know it sounds super complicated, but the takeaway is this. That thing isn't from this world, and it only desires one thing: to kill you. We don't know why or how, but the doubles hate their other dimensional selves. I had one, even whom we had to kill. They marked my past identity as deceased with that body in the cover-up. Somehow, your body double survived, and I have no idea how it's possible, or why it hasn't tried to kill you yet. It's had so many opportunities, but it killed Will instead." The upstairs door finally gave way with a large crash. My heart fell into my stomach. It was inside. "What should we do?" I asked. "I notified the ones in charge of the fallout of the tear incident, and they're sending people now to come and dispose of it," my dad replied. We then heard the banging stop after my dad uttered those words. The agency came and searched, but it was gone. They also covered up my brother's death as a farming accident. My whole life is a lie, and I live in constant fear now. I'm afraid that thing is going to appear again, but this time, I would have nothing to stop it. Hopefully, the double version of yourself didn't escape that tear, or it may just be looking for you as well. If you're looking in the mirror and suddenly the actions you're doing don't line up with the ones you see, leave before it's too late. That's the end of the story. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe.